Hey everybody, and welcome to my 15 minutes live. And yesterday I had a feel good moment, a real feel good moment. But I was really excited yesterday, and after I had this feel good moment, I rushed in here uh, to make or to record my 15 minutes. But I just need to reverse back so I can just bring it into perspective. So I woke up yesterday and I had this topic in my mind. I woke up with this topic in my mind, and as normal, I came in here and I set up and I was going to speak on this topic because it's just easier speaking on a topic that's already on your mind and that's already in within your heart. And I came in here and I set up and I was hooking on the mic and I was just about to go, and I heard this clunking sound, this rattle at the gate. And I know on a Saturday or a Sunday, I know what that rattle at the gate means. It could be one of three things. It could be someone selling something. So they knock at the gate because they're selling. So you have these vendors that walk in the street sometimes and they sell stuff. Or it could be someone looking for a job. Uh, so they also rattle at the gate. Or it could be Jehovah Witnesses, or it could just be a beggar, looking for a handout at the gate. So it's always one of those, because your visitors won't pitch up unannounced, or they would either be hooting at the gate, or they'll be screaming your name outside. But when you hear this rattle at the gate, it's one of those four people. But anyway, so I was a bit annoyed because I just set up. I was just about to record. My microphone was on, and I heard this rattle at the gate. And then I've got two gates, right, on both sides of the property. So I went down the driveway on my right hand side, and walking down the driveway, I could see the gate and I couldn't see anybody at the gate, but I continuously heard this rattle at the gate. So as I approached the front of the yard, I looked towards the gate on the left, and I saw someone at the gate there, and I called. I couldn't see who it was, so I called for them to come to the side. And as they moved, it was a black woman, a foreign woman, probably Mozambican, Zimbabwean, Mozambican, Zambian, these neighboring African countries. So it was a foreign black woman, middle age, probably in her 30 to 35 years old. But she was really tired. I could see that the sun was beating down, and I could see she's been walking, and she looked thirsty and she looked dehydrated and very tired. But just speaking to her, I could see this hope within her. So I assume she's probably been rattling at a number of gates, and because she ended up at my gate, I assume that she was unsuccessful. And just speaking to me, she looked very hopeful. She was tired, she was beat down, but she looked very hopeful. Probably because I answered the gate. Probably no one has answered the gate as she came up the street, and she asked me, looking for a piece job. So piece job is like just a job for the day or just a quick job. Is there something I can do? A quick job, maybe for a couple of hours or for half a day or just for the day. So that's piece of the job. She's not looking for permanent employment. Do you have a piece job for me? And I said, sorry, man, not today. We have a helper. she comes from Monday to Friday, and she does most of the chores around the house, the cleaning, the washing, and everything else that the domestic helper does. So I didn't have anything for her to do. And she says, please, man, I'll do anything. I'll do washing for 20 Rand. And it struck me like, washing for 20 Rand. And it just, that just showed her desperation. Now, for those of you, my international listeners, that don't know what the value of 20 Rand is. So the Rand is the South African currency. And the US dollar trades about 15 Rand to the US dollar. So 20 Rand would be $1 and a quarter, $1.25. So she was offering to do washing for $1.25. And I mean, that's how desperate she was. And I mean, if I have to take my laundry to a laundromat or whatever the case might be, it will probably cost me 150 Rand. And I'm just guessing now because I don't know what it costs to do your laundry at a laundromat. I've never done it before, so I'm just guessing it's going to cost me 150 Rand. And that's probably 10 US dollars. So $20, it's about €1, 20 cents. And 20 Rand would be about £1. Could be a pound because I think the Rand, it's 18 or 19 Rand to the pound. So yeah, she was offering to do that, and I just realized how desperate this woman is. And for 20 Rand, I mean, what can you buy for 20 Rand? You can probably buy a loaf of bread, and you can probably buy a very small butter, and probably, so she was willing to do washing to buy a loaf of bread and probably a very small butter or margarine. So she was really desperate. But still, I said to her, sorry, man, I've got nothing at the moment, because I couldn't think of anything that she could do. And then I said, okay, next time, maybe next time I'll have something for you to do. And then, the hope she had just faded at that point in time. And she just, she just lowered her head, and she kind of like just said, it's like all hope is gone. She just gave up at that point in time. And I saw it. And, but still, like, I couldn't think what, and I don't want to give handouts. I'm very against giving handouts, because number one, we have a culture in this country that, people feel entitled, especially the previously disadvantaged, not all of them, some of them. So there's an entitlement which I have a problem with, and I'm very cautious to give handouts, because when you give a handout, you're robbing that person of dignity. You're robbing them of the dignity of earning, earning their own revenue, earning their own money, and with earning and the fruits of your labor, there's a certain pride that comes with it. There's a certain dignity that comes with it. So I'm very cautious not to give any handouts. So I said to her, unfortunately, I don't have anything to do. I don't have anything for you to do today, but maybe next time. And, she was just, all hope just died. And she just said, thank you. And then we both turned and we went. She walked away and I walked back into my driveway. But this didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well in my spirit. I just felt like, there must be something that I can do for her. And as I walked in, I saw my car standing in the driveway. Now, I normally take my car, I wash my car on a Sunday afternoon, just before the Monday, work on Monday. So I wash my car, I go to the car wash and I drop the car off there, and they wash and clean the car for me. And I saw my car and I realized, okay, why don't I give this job to her? She can clean my car. And I turned around and she was still there. And I said, hold on. And I called her back. And I said, okay, fine, come inside. And then as she came in, I said to her, okay, you can wash my car. And I sensed that there was, she didn't really understand what I was saying, but she just answered in a positive way, because she was willing to do anything. And I got the bucket with soap and a sponge and a rag, and I gave her the bucket. And as I gave her the bucket, she was still unsure. She took the bucket, but I could see she didn't understand, what do I do with the bucket? And at this point, we're still in the driveway, and I hook up the hose and I give her one end of the hose, and I showed her, like, fill the bucket with water. So I opened the hose, but she was still unsure. So I showed her, like, I realized that there's a communication barrier. Although we spoke in English, so our English was very limited also. And I showed her, like, wash the car and cool. So hosed the car with the hose pipe. It was very hot outside. So we hosed the car, and then I gave her the bucket and water and said, okay, continue. But then before I came in here to do my 15 minutes, I said, let me just observe her for a few moments and just make sure she's okay before I come do my 15 minutes. And then while I was observing, she started washing the car. So in the bucket was a sponge, and there was a cloth, a skroplap, the way we call it, a cloth. And she took the cloth and she started washing the car, but she was like very slow, and she started washing. And then I realized that, now my worry was, because the sun is so hot, we just brush the car with water. I don't want the car to dry, so quickly wash the car before it dries so we can hose the soap and blah, blah, blah. But she was very slow, and and then when she came back to the bucket, she wouldn't dip the cloth into the water. She would just scoop the foam from the top, and then she would continue washing, and then she would scoop the foam. And I said, okay, let me quickly, because now this is going to take long the way she's doing it. So I said to her, like, come here. I say, use the sponge, because the sponge can soak up a lot of water. So I take the sponge and I throw it onto the bonnet, and I'm washing and I'm spreading, and I'm fast paced, and I'm rubbing the bonnet and back into the water and onto the windscreen, and I'm washing, and I'm kind of demonstrating the way I wanted to do it. So at that point in time, she wasn't doing it wrong. She was just not doing it as fast as I wanted her to do it, and she wasn't doing it the way I would have done it. Okay, so I felt it necessary for me to demonstrate. But then a few things happened. After I demonstrated and I said, use the sponge because it's just easier, you're going to be quicker, and you're going to and move a bit faster. After I did that, I realized that it touched on her confidence, and it touched on, I think the confidence, because after that, she constantly asked me. So she would take the sponge, she would wash the car, and she would ask me, must I rinse the car with water? And it's like, yeah, rinse the car, and must I wash the wheels, the rims? And like, yeah, wash. So she would ask me, every time she would ask me, must I do? So because she was busy doing it and I wasn't happy, and I intervened and I demonstrated. So it touched on her confidence, and she was very uncertain, and she started asking me every step of the way. And I realized, okay, let me leave her to just continue, and then I'll do an evaluation afterwards. So I said, okay, I'll just step away. Let me leave her to do. And then she continued, and she was still at her own pace. And And it brought me back to what I always used to tell my staff at work. You know, when we interview or when we recruit people, we always look for ourselves in the candidate. We're looking for people that are similar to us, that does and think similar to us, and do things similar, so we can better connect. Now, I know it's very difficult when, I can imagine working with someone and you this fast paced, let's get things done kind of person. But on the other side, the person you're working with is very relaxed and, their own time. I could see that there could be a disconnect and probably a bit of conflict because we're not doing things and we're not running at the same pace. So yeah, so we constantly looking for people, and I realized that it's not the right thing. We all have our own way. We all have our own personalities and our own way of doing things. Some of us are fast paced, others are just slow. But I think what I'm trying to get at is I left her to do the job. And after she was done, I evaluated and I wanted to see, how good she washed the car and whether I can call her back at a later stage. Maybe she can come back another Saturday and do the car again, or maybe do my wife's car and my son's car, and then over a weekend, she could do 3 cars, and it's a way for her to generate cash, because anyway the cars need to be washed. So yeah, afterwards, and I was very, very careful to treat this as I didn't want to show her that this was a handout. I was very aware to treat this situation as a transaction, so that she's aware this is a transaction. Because after she finished, I called her, I said, okay, let's do an inspection. And then we walked around the car. She walked with me and I showed her, okay, no, good job. And at the one spot, she also realized that, hold on, I didn't do the side properly. And then she grabbed the rag, I grabbed the one rag, and I started wiping. And then she started wiping on the one side. So we kind of did it together. But she realized herself that, okay, this part. And I was really happy with the job, because she took the mats out, she brushed the carpet, and when I felt the carpet was a bit wet, so which means she used a bit of foam inside of the car just to clean the carpet, and the rubber mats were scrubbed. So she did a very good job. She did a okay job, or she did a good job. Let's stick at good. I was happy with the job. I was happy that I left her, and I paid her what I normally would pay at the car wash. And it was a feel good moment for me, because initially, I thought I don't have anything to do for this woman, and I just turned her away. And then I realized, like, oh wait, there is an opportunity for her to make some money. So it was really a feel good moment for me, allowing or being able to help someone else, and for her to earn, to earn some money. And I think it was a good win-win. But what I'm trying to say is, number one, it was a feel-good moment for me. It was a good opportunity for her. And I've also realized that I don't have to control every situation. Oh goodness, 19 minutes. I don't have to control every situation. Sometimes you just need to leave things to happen. And you don't have to control. So yes, I stepped away. It was also for me a bit of a release to say, okay, let me go do something else. Let her do the car. Thank you, people. That's my 15 minutes live, and goodbye.